Drone Seekers are live.
And a very good evening from us, the Drone Seekers Madhouse. And there we are. Look at him. Oh, Terry taking his off now.
I'll put my back on and everything.
Marcus says the future's so bright he's got to wear shades. Right, Marcus, Jackie, and Terry. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So a quick hello to Kim and Jaybird and John. And I've not missed anyone. And Gary, if you're not here tonight, you're going to miss a treat. So there we are. That's all I'm going to say. So, right, okay. Without further ado, let's have our special guest and see what he's got to say for himself.
Let's welcome this week's Drone Seekers live show special guest.
Video.
Wrong video.
Oh, sorry, I'm not sure what happened there, but there we are. Technology. Anyway, it's not Brian, it's not Bernie. No, it's Ross Langton. Honestly, it just goes to show this show is actually live because honestly, I even hit the wrong buttons. There we are. Perhaps I'll find it later on. Anyway, welcome, Ross. Not Brian, not Bernie. And Ross is from Queensland, Brisbane, Queensland, Australia. And so the time is currently there is about 3 minutes past 5 in the morning. All right.
Yeah, it's early. Twilight.
It's twilight. Twilight.
So
a coffee to boot.
I mean, Bernie's watching the show now. If you are watching Bernie, you know you're not here.
Yeah, just a little panic there, didn't they?
Oh yeah.
So before our Ross, it's actually Monday morning.
Yes, it's Monday, Ross. Oh dear. And
it's still the weekend here.
Yeah, I was
still Sunday afternoon here.
Marcus,
Payday tomorrow.
Payday tomorrow. Marcus, do you actually change the clocks in America?
Yeah, so we do go from standard time in the winter to daylight savings time in the summer. I hate it. I think it's an anachronism that needs to change. I understand why they did it when we were an agricultural economy, but it's just absurd now that we go through that twice a year, changing the clocks. So now you know my opinion on that.
Yeah. I only do in Australia because my son lived in Melbourne for a while. Are they on the same time scale as you, Ross?
Yeah, Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane's in the same time.
Yeah. I know. I used to forget what time it was. Oh, I'm sitting there in the evening thinking, oh, just see how Andrew's getting on. So I ring, Dad, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. No, it's not here.
You have to.
Bet you were popular.
So, excuse me, Steve. I didn't. You were referring to time zones. I thought you meant daylight savings time and standard time.
Well, it does because in Australia, I mean, I seem to remember. I don't know why, but I seem to remember the time zone in Australia just changed, but it somehow used to be 2 hours out of sync. But I think it's when we changed our time.
Right.
So it goes anywhere between 9 and 7 hours difference, I think. I think I'm right in saying that. I can't remember.
Yeah, the West Coast, Perth, or Western Australia is 2 hours behind.
Right.
And the central part of the country is half an hour behind. The Adelaide, Darwin.
Yeah.
But do you actually change your time zones in? Not time zones, but
yeah, they have daylight savings in the southern states, New South Wales and Victoria.
Right.
In Queensland, we don't want our curtains to fade, so we leave it as is.
Smart.
It makes perfect sense to me.
Well, when it was an agrarian economy and agriculture, they depended on having those daylight hours to work later to whatever. I totally understand that, but
Yeah.
it's changed. It's an anachronism.
It is.
Yeah.
It
Now,
is.
Facebook users now say, let's
For
go.
city folk to enjoy the the later daylight hours. That's all.
Yeah, it's very strange that they change, but right, so, okay,
You
well,
want your barbecue for longer, don't you?
What do you think, Marcus, of the new upgrade then for the Mavic Mini 2?
So you're talking, the Mavic Mini 2 is going to be interesting, and it sounds like that is really a deal. So what kind of features will they put on it? But I think probably for sure we'll see 4K video on that drone, which will be just awesome for a drone of that size to shoot 4K. And the rumor is that we will see that before the end of the year. So,
Wow.
yeah, that the original Mini was such a home run. I really look at it like DJI is kind of cashing in, right? Because they come out with another one, everybody will upgrade, and so on and so forth.
And
So
especially
Kim was-
now being able to use the smart controller with the Mavic Mini 2.
Well, so now here's the rub there. So there is a vlogger. Gosh, I'm trying to. His name is Rick Smith. I'm trying to remember the name of his channel right now. I can't think of it. But anyway, he's an engineer, and obviously the smart controller runs on OcuSync 2. So you would think that only OcuSync 2 drones would work with that controller, but he says that there's also a Wi-Fi component in the smart controller. So there is potential that they could make that work with the Mavic Mini. Now, nobody at DJI has said anything yet. This guy's just an engineer, and he says it potentially could happen, which would be phenomenal. Of course, then your controller is twice the cost of the drone, but
Right across the board, though, doesn't it?
yeah, that would be awesome, wouldn't it?
Trouble is, I'm getting a collection now of controllers, which I don't use.
Right.
Come on, eBay. Ross, what so how many drones have you got?
My hangar consists of 2 at the moment.
Which is
but,
the
I've been through a few drones.
tell Gary what your favourite drone is at the moment, because he's watching. I can see him on there. Gary's funky duck.
Well, it's similar to Donald Trump's hair colour.
There we are, Gary. No, just for you.
Donald Trump's
Just for
skin
you.
colour.
Well, Ross,
The Opel Evo too.
Ross, what is your YouTube channel? Is
Roscoe's Drone Zone.
right. So Roscoe's Drone Zone. So you go and check out some of Ross's YouTube talk videos, because they're very good. We did show one last week. We're going to show another one now.
How nice was that?
Drone Zone. So tell us a little bit about that video then, Ross. So how long ago was that? Was it a while ago or
Last Sunday. So
last?
Right?
Right up to so I can guess that was. I mean, you got to appreciate the quality that we can actually show here. The quality of that video, if you watch it on Ross's channel, is absolutely amazing. And it, to be honest, StreamYard, we are restricted to size of videos, so the quality is not always, well, it never is as good as the quality on the YouTube channel. So I suggest anyone go. Mark has put the link up there. Visit Ross's YouTube channel. Check those videos out. One of my favourites, I think, Ross, that I didn't get to show tonight, or I'm going to show, is one called Blades. I was fascinated by that one.
Oh, we'll all have to go and check that one out.
Yeah, Blades is the wind turbines and the.
Oh, right.
Out of curiosity, Rob, think about it.
Yeah,
you had aerial footage of the Auto Evo 2. So what was you filming it with?
another one.
Oh, wow.
When he suddenly occurred, I was sitting there watching this video and I suddenly thought, hang on. The Auto Evo is actually in the video. So what's filming that?
Yeah. A good friend of mine who actually introduced me to our drones about 2.5, 3 years ago, and he's just acquired his Auto Evo 2, and so there's a few videos there where we're filming each other's drones.
Yeah.
So there's one at the wind farm. There's one at the Glasshouse Mountains. The one at the Glasshouse Mountains is a beautiful video too.
Ross, what's your other drone then, Ross?
The other drone is just a. I would consider that more a toy drone. It's a JJRC. The other drones I've sold because I really don't. I just know I won't fly them now that I've got the Evo.
No, I mean, the thing is, you can only have so many drones, and as you say, Marcus has got many drones. Marcus actually doesn't know how many drones he's got, but he hasn't got the Auto Evo, have you, Marcus?
I haven't. My friend Ryan Duvall keeps telling me he's going to loan me his. He's got the original Autel Evo.
Yeah,
he was going to loan it to me for a while, but Ryan, if you're watching, I haven't seen it yet.
It's either that or just pop over and see Ross and Rosalie.
Just a short flight.
I must admit, it looks. Does that look sort of looks quite a heavy drone? It was the bottom.
Yeah, it's a lot heavier than the Mavic.
It is.
But then again, the battery, the battery is
well,
you put it in front of the camera.
Wow,
that's a 7,100 milliamp battery. So when you take that battery out of the drone, it's quite light, but it's the battery that.
So what flying time do you get out of that? There's about 30 minutes or so. Or?
The manufacturer states 40 minutes, but like every manufacturer, they overstate. They always conditions. But realistically, about 28 to 30 minutes down to 15% battery.
No,
it's not bad though. Are they, it's like with all these batteries, aren't they quite expensive to buy?
Certainly the Evo batteries are expensive. Yeah.
Most of them are.
That's the downside with the Autel product.
Yeah. The drone is quite. I think the drone is what a comparable price with the Mavic 2 Pro, somewhere around that price bracket. Or?
Yeah, it's direct competitor in the DJI range is the Mavic 2 Pro. But the Mavic 2 is a 2-year-old technology. I think it's probably the first drone that Mr. Wang at DJI has actually,
So
you're right.
He stood back and went, "Oh my God, here's a drone that's a serious competitor."
Yeah, well, it is. It's as simple as that. It really is. Look at the quality of the thing. I think I did actually find a comparison thing, and I sent it to you, Ross, didn't I? But unfortunately, I didn't have any variant sort of I haven't got a Mavic 2 Pro, so but I mean the reviews was like, in all fairness, it was a comparable thing. And then comes Platypus. Look,
I was just about to ask a question then, Jackie.
Yeah.
He's not flying at the minute because
Oh,
I
he's got a bad leg. Oh no,
falling
look.
leg, broken leg.
Oh, goodness.
Jackie, a bit of what do you call it? Yeah, some glue. Ask
Epoxy.
yeah,
Oh, I'll know how to glue it.
Yeah, Al
Yeah.
Duran and his,
Al Duran, that's it, yeah.
I've ordered a new leg, so, and I've gone and bought some Allen keys to undo that one with. So
Oh,
I know what I've got to do.
it should be
Yeah,
Jackie.
but-
I've got advice from the experts, and I know what I've got to do. But just waiting for the leg to arrive now.
Yeah. So we were flying on Monday in a really, really good location, high above Cartagena port. And Jackie was flying in a small ravine. And it was so unfortunate, wasn't it, when the wind caught it? Not that I saw it.
Harvey's went through fine, and then mine went through, and just I was like 6 inches from the end of this little canyon, and a gust of wind came across and boom, straight into the
Jet wash from Harvey.
That must have been a hell of a gust, though, Jack. Yeah, I mean, it must have been like, what was it, a tidal wave?
No, it just drifted. It just straight into the cliff.
John's actually said on there that Evo battery is £176.
Goodness me.
So it's about £50 to £60 more expensive than a DJI battery, but then it's more of a lump, isn't it? I mean, it's 7 amp hour. Was it 7,000 amp?
7,100 milliamp.
Oh yeah, right. So just over 7 amp hours, which is quite a big battery.
So Ross, do you have the 6K or the 8K version of the Evo 2?
I've got the 6K. I don't believe the 8. You know, it's a lot of people have different opinions on it, but the 8K I don't think is it's not warranted purchasing the aircraft with the 8K.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, I mean 6K. I mean, what is 6K at the moment? I mean, not 6K.
So Steve, the advantage is it has a 1-inch sensor. It's really not the resolution we're talking about. He has a much bigger sensor on the 6K version, so obviously it's going to take in more light. And it does have, don't you have more camera controls on that as well, Ross?
In what terms?
Well, more manual controls, I guess, is what I was thinking than the 8K version. I could be wrong.
Oh yeah, I mean you do have full control of the camera like the Mavic Pro 2.
Right.
Whereas the 8K is a 1/2-inch sensor with a fixed aperture.
Right.
It's got the same sensor as the Mavic 2 Air actually, but the aperture is different between the Mavic 2 Air and the Evo 8K.
Right.
So the aperture is 1.8 on the Evo, and if I remember rightly, it's 2.6 on the Mavic Air 2.
Well, Gary's saying the battery doesn't explode. I wouldn't put money on that, Gary. Any battery explodes. Unfortunately, batteries are not made by DJI. They're made by a manufacturer, and I guarantee all batteries can explode. I don't think the Evo is the exception, unless it's got a built-in fire extinguisher. I don't know.
Yeah, that's lithium batteries.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, people don't realise. I mean, people make DJI and Evo. They make the drones, but they certainly don't make the batteries. I mean, the batteries are made by battery manufacturers. Yeah, I've seen that. So anyway, let's move on. Find another video here somewhere. Right, here we are. Video number 2.
Oh,
Yeah.
that film isn't it?
I must admit, Ross, you managed to hit the nail. Every video I've watched of yours, and one thing I've noticed that the soundtracks just seem to.
Fit.
Well, it's just my man. The soundtrack seems to go with the mood of the video, or it creates the mood of the video. I mean, it just it's great. So yes,
That's part of the fun of video production.
it is. It certainly is. Yeah, that's the one thing with me. It's just like film, shoot, soundtrack, do, done. Jack is the one who sort of, with the imagination. I think but I think it takes
It's fun, isn't it, Ross? All the editing.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's all the fun. The flying's great, but
Making it all.
you're always trying to improve.
Love it.
I mean, so when you're flying, I mean, a bit of footage like that. I think we were saying before that you can go out and get through 2 batteries, which is let's say 40 minutes, 40, 50 minutes flying time, and then you find that you end up with a video about 3 minutes long. I mean,
that particular video, or that bridge that you can see in that video, I can actually see it from my balcony. It's about 1 or 2 k's away.
Wow.
So it was just a case of the usual getting up for the wife at 2 o'clock in the morning, and come about 5 o'clock. I thought, looks like it's time for a drone flight. Went down to the bridge, a couple of flights, come home. I had that video done in about 1 hour.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, I suppose when you go out, I mean, you obviously what you know your target, so to speak. You're going to film the bridge, but do you sort of plan? You think, right, okay, right. What I'll do is I'll do this. Have you got it all in your head, or you just fly around and just look at the mix and then think, right, I'll take that bit and that bit and that bit, or how does it work?
Yeah, you certainly. I mean, obviously you've identified the location you're flying at, and you do have some sort of plan in your mind as to what you're going to capture.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're up there twiddling your thumbs, thinking, "What am I going to do next?"
Yeah.
And also down at that location, there's a ferry terminal for the Queensland Uni. There's a lot of sporting clubs on the uni side, and also the rowing clubs. Okay. So at that time of day, you get all the twilight rowers on the river. It's very pretty, actually, down there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean that's. I mean, I'm looking at sort of locations. I mean, Marcus, your latest video with the drone I watched this afternoon. But what a location! I mean, I just don't get a location like that. I mean, how far is that from you, Marcus?
Oh gosh, 15 miles maybe.
If I drive 15 miles, I'm still in towns. Do you know what I mean? I just.
Hey, I want to make one point about what Ross was doing there. So he used that Autel Evo 6K with the 1-inch sensor. There's only one other prosumer drone that you could do that with, and that would be the Mavic 2 Pro with a 1-inch sensor.
Yeah.
To get those kind of low light videos. In other words, I could fly that same path with my Mavic 2 Zoom, and it would be graining, and it just wouldn't look as good.
And it's the same with the Mavic 2 Air as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You could add the Phantom 4 Pro to that as well with the 1-inch.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, if you fail, I'll carry it. So if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail.
You've also got to have a bit of luck with when you're out there flying as well. In that particular instance with that video, you just happen to have the rowers passing by, and next
of course, yeah.
Next one of the CityCat ferries passes one of the rowing boats. You just sometimes good luck happens.
Yeah.
But I think that's what we find with our locations, because like last Monday we went to an old battery, a multi-gun battery. Now you're going to need 3 or 4 visits there to get what you want. My first visit was Monday and had no idea of what to expect, but then had an idea of what I want to do, but it would need another couple of visits to do it.
Yay, let's go back.
but the secret, I suppose the secret is though, Terry, is if you actually go to a location. I mean, this is what real film companies do. They go to a location and they've actually. My son's just doing media studies at college now. You know, and the first thing he said, we draw a storyboard out. See. You wouldn't think of it, would you? Now, what are you going to do? So that the plan is all there. All you've got to make is your storyboard come to life. And it's no different with drones. So if you could go to a location, stand there and something like, okay, like, you know, and as you say, once you know what you're going to do, you can do it with in a minimum amount of time, surely.
Yeah, that's why your initial flight is so important, because you can get a perspective of where you're going to film and exactly what you want to film.
Yeah.
I would then come back and start to investigate and research the historical aspect of that particular area. And I've done this several times, and then go back down and say, right, I want this, this, and this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't do that.
It's going to be 2 minutes.
Go up, fly, see what happens, get back, see what my footage is, and then make something from it.
Yeah, it is lettuce. It's lettuce.
Whatever it is.
You've got a fabulous attitude to it, Jackie, because you can make fun out of a video. You know, you'll include all of us in it, whereas I don't want to put people in. I will do the I know. Occasionally I will. But you know what I mean? My interest is the actual area and the historical value of the area. Whereas you come back and you just do fabulous videos.
I just like to tell the story of the day or whatever.
Exactly. That you tell the story. And that's why you've got 500 viewers and I've got 3.
Very good.
Facebook, you should always have a drone shot list.
That's right. If you know where you're going first.
Yeah, I mean, I must be. I don't. I'm terrible. I mean, I went to that. You know, the last fly out was that viaduct, and I went there and I was right. Okay, well, I want to show how long the viaduct is, and then after that, I'm thinking, right, okay, now what? You know, no forward planning at all. I mean, I could have done because I could have watched Kim's video. All I wanted is a train to come along there. Really, that didn't happen.
Well, we've got another location that we're going to go to called the Five Eyes and the Four Eyes Bridge. But before we'll go, we'll get the timetable from Alicante railway station for the train to Madrid.
Yeah.
And we'll make sure we're there because you get the high-speed train going through, and we'll film that if we're lucky. The last time we went, we got lost.
Listen, Terry, I'm okay with you, but Jackie has a tendency to her drones kind of lose control sometimes. So I'm just kidding, Jackie.
We've got 500 meters of fishing line which we tie onto it and then pull it back.
That's why I said. See if you get a very, very long sort of even a piece of string. Hello, Bernie. Bernie's here now. Look. Bernie,
you need to rewind.
Sorry. Yeah. What's got your intro? What's going on? Oh dear. What's his name? So Gary's. I'm trying to read what Gary's put. Little tears he's put up in there.
I like that comment there about the sneaky trees.
What's this?
Oh, that's the one. Yeah.
Trees.
Actually, I was actually reading I did actually watch a video. They were talking about all the tips for making videos. You see how much I took in of it, none of it. But one of the things was never be in your own video.
What?
Never be in your own video. I was but no. But yeah, I mean, people. I think they talk about that's what you say. It was referring to sneaky trees, actually hiding in a tree. So even if you are in shot, that you can't be seen. You're there, but not there. If you know what I mean.
That's right. I always try to stay behind the drone. I don't want to be seen in my videos at all. That's why I say I don't want anybody in it unless I'm doing a party one or whatever.
The thing is, I suppose it depends on how long you're going to make the video. I mean, Jackie, your videos are not over long, are they? I mean, they are sort of.
No, most of it ends up on the cutting room floor, doesn't it? You know, you just use the best bits.
I just imagine all these 35mm film now.
Oh yeah, all over the place. What a mess.
But you know, as I said before, Jackie, your videos are totally different, and they're things we all enjoy watching, really enjoy, because they are so good, and they are good. And you've got a far better eye than a lot of us have for that type of video.
You have to be reasonable.
No one ever noticed me yet.
So much away.
I never actually noticed that, Gary. You've actually got Funky Duck on here somewhere. I'll find it for you. There we
No one's ever noticed him.
Well, you cannot look at my channel and talk about short videos, because if I have one that's under 30 minutes, it's a miracle. I struggle to keep them under an hour.
What do you think about the new drone regulations coming soon? What drone regulations coming soon?
It depends on the country you're talking about. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, we've got something coming in.
What about the drone regulations in Australia then, Ross? I mean, how tight are they on regulations, or can you got free hand?
No, very tight.
Right.
I mean, if you look at any of those videos, you don't see me flying over people. You don't see me flying over property. That's just a no-no. The usual 120 meters, no flying at night, apart from your blue hour or twilight. Drone registrations coming in the next few months for the commercial flyers. There's all the licensing regimes, etc. So we're probably actually even stricter than the FAA in America.
Well, we've had drone registration for a while now. The one the kicker that always gets me, and this is interesting. My neighbor is an airline pilot, a 737 pilot for Southwest Airlines, and I just had this discussion with him this morning about flying beyond visual line of sight, and I'm telling you, for instance, if you fly the Mavic Mini, if that thing's 150 feet out there, you can barely see it. So 99% of the flights that people do with these drones, if they say they're within visual line of sight, I don't know who they're kidding. But that's the only one that can get a little weird to me. But just what you were saying, Ross, to me, it's just common sense. You don't fly over over houses or people. You don't in any way that's going to endanger you. Stay for sure below 400 feet, which is 120 meters. But also, it's more interesting if you're lower. That's where you actually see the cool things to look at. So often you're flying at maybe 50, 60 meters. Something like that. And that's where it gets more interesting. So these regulations, while they're important, so much of it is just using common sense. And like all of us, it drives you nuts when you see somebody flying over a bunch of houses or people and so forth, or even worse, the ones where you see they're up in the clouds and
oh yeah.
Anyway, it's just incumbent upon all of us to just use common sense, and that way we can keep these regulations reasonable and under control. Like I said, the only one that I have a problem with is that BVLOS, beyond visual line of sight. I just think almost every pilot at some point is beyond. Well, for instance, every time I fly the Skydio, I'm not looking. It's autonomous.
It's following you.
Yeah. So it's illegal every time I fly it. Right?
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah.
Bernie's asking how the Acro's coming on. It's not at the moment because we're waiting for the winter.
Now, interestingly, Bob, so someone pointed out talking about heights. Okay, now, so if I went up to the top of a mountain, which was say, I don't know, 500 meters up in the air. Okay, so if I take off from there. Now, my height then is from there, the top of that mountain.
That's right.
But what happens when I fly away, so then the ground is lower?
I'll give you a prime example of that, Steve. Every flight I do over the Snake River Canyon, right?
Yep.
I start above the canyon. The floor of that canyon is probably 600 feet down there. So is every one of those flights illegal? I don't know.
I mean, just someone pointed this out to me, and I actually thought that's a good point, actually, because you go flying over the mountains, like if you go to the Sierra Espuna Mountains, and you're up there, and your drone takes off, and you always go, well, whatever direction you're going, the ground is going to drop away fast from where you are to where the ground is, where your drone is. So is it illegal?
Well, I like Gary's explanation. Look down.
It's above ground level.
Above them.
Sorry, Phil.
Yeah, I used to.
And recovery drone is saying the same thing. The takeoff point is your AGL, and so that's kind of how I've always thought about it too.
That's what I always say. Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever my takeoff.
I just read an article somewhere, and it made me stop and think, interesting. Yeah,
Let me add though, Steve. One thing that I've seen is I've seen channels where they will fly next to a building or a mountain, and even though they're down here, they say, "Okay, I'm within however many feet of this building, I can go above that." Is that legal or not? I'm not.
Yeah, only if they take off from the roof, surely.
Well, if they take off from the roof, that
Then
would
it's
be AGL, right? Well,
Yeah.
where they're
as soon as
they fly to that. Let me give you a better example that you can relate to. I've flown from the bottom of the canyon before, and I've never flown out over the top of the canyon because that was more than 120 meters from where I took off from.
Yeah.
I had a number of people tell me, "Oh no, you're perfectly legal as long as you're within, so far from the side of that canyon, you can go up above it."
Yeah.
That's the part that I'm not sure I buy into.
I'm sure it's just 400 feet from wherever you take off.
Yeah.
Where your boots are. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, your boots
Oh,
are.
That's why I like Gary's explanation. That's perfect, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
You know where
It is.
you stand. Well, yeah, where you stand above your boots. No?
Well, for those who don't know, Ross was joining us today. Ross is actually in Queensland, in Australia, and the time there is now coming up to 20 minutes to 6. If I remember my clock's right.
I can hear the sparrows and kookaburras tweet outside.
I never hear kookaburras. We haven't got it here. Sparrows, maybe. Anyway, we'll have a look at one of Ross's videos. Hope this one works.
That was.
Yeah, I apologise in advance for the actual quality of trying to ruin Ross's videos, but obviously check out his YouTube channel because you really will see the better quality version of the videos. That's me ruining Ross's videos for him. Sorry about Ross.
Was that your video,
That's
Rob?
right. No, that wasn't my video.
Oh, Robin's.
Not yours.
That was
Where that one come from, mate?
Cal Blanc.
Yeah.
That was
Oh.
Robin's.
It was still good.
It was good.
It's a good capture of the bird.
Flamingos down at the salt.
I thought I recognised that video. Was that Robbins?
Yeah.
Yeah, you've done very well tonight, Steve.
I've done very well tonight. Well,
Yeah.
Ross was never going to come on the show again.
no. Anyway, Ross, we'll find it.
You're red now.
I'm beginning to wonder what day is it today? Alzheimer's is kicking
Depends where
in.
you are, doesn't it? It's either Sunday or Monday.
Is it?
It is Monday, yeah.
That is a good point, Jackie. It's a very good point, yeah. Because if I ask you all what day, everyone will say Sunday except Ross, who say it's Monday. Right. Well, let's see if I can get this bit right. And you think, oh no. Right, are we ready? Hang on, what's going on here? What is going on here?
Here we go.
We
And now it's time for Terry's Joke of the Week.
Now, this is so corny that I'm going to hear all the boos as we go along. Doctor's sitting in his surgery, door bursts open, and this brunette comes walking in. Doctor, she says, help me. And the doctor said, what's the matter? She said, my whole body is aching and it's in pain. He said, but where? She said, well, there, and it really hurts. And there, and it really hurts. And there, it really, really hurts. Help me, she says. And there, it really hurts. The doctor looked at her. He said, you're not really a brunette, are you? She said, well, no, I'm blonde and I dyed my hair brunette. What's that got to do with it? He said, you've got a broken finger.
Oh.
Good on Terry.
Terry's Joke of the Week.
I'm glad someone thinks it's funny. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
Not working.
They can only get better, can't they?
I must have got a comment.
You got a comment? I'm sure you got a comment, was it?
Oh,
Johnny Trigger. I thought you meant Trigger from Horses.
I don't know who that is. So.
Nor do I, honestly. I guess I don't watch enough Kingsford barbecue channel.
I'll have to have a look at that.
Yeah.
Kingsford Barbecue Challenge. What on earth is
So you may not have Kingsford brand. Kingsford makes charcoal briquettes for barbecues.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's referring to a TV commercial. But I'm sorry, Recovery Drone, I'm not familiar with that one.
No.
He's probably the handsome guy that introduces the barbecue thing.
It's got to be. It's got to be the good-looking guy, right?
I thought so. I had an operation on my eye a couple of weeks and it hurt my eye. That it's in black spots.
I'm just reading some.
Have I got the sack yet?
No, not yet. No, not yet.
Oh.
We tried to get Jackie to tell jokes and she won't have any of it.
Good job.
It's my job. You can't have.
He's a famous barbecue king.
Yeah, but yeah. That is my Spanish nickname, isn't it? Barbecue King.
Yeah.
I've even got, I even bought an apron, got an apron printed. It's got Steve G, Barbecue King on it.
Brilliant.
Yeah. But I'll get a chance to use it.
I want to try and get some baseball caps with this logo on. I think that would be good.
Okay, so here I just looked it up. Johnny Trigg is his name, and he is a celebrity chef.
Uh-huh.
So there you have it. I'm going to put the Wikipedia link in the chat.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
So I shall have to come in wearing a chef's apron next week then.
Yeah, and a chef's hat.
And a chef's hat.
Actually, you talk about baseball caps, Terry, because Marcus has got one with Idaho quadcopter on it.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, heck yeah. Hang on a second. Just a second.
It's got...
Quick, turn him off.
Quick, let's talk about it. What he's got. Oh, we can still hear it.
Oh, like that, yeah.
Can we start talking about DJIs again? Yeah, DJIs. We like DJI drones on this show.
I broke mine, Gary.
Yeah, Gary, look.
Crashed into the cliff. It didn't look anything, but it's giving me an error message that says abnormal gimbal vibration, and all my footage is all wobbly. So I guess it's quite important.
Yeah. So, did you replace the leg or the whole arm?
No, it's just it's
the foot
thing. I've got an Allen key so that I can undo these little screws.
on the Mavic 2. Because I put a little light in there as well, which makes it even more complex to take it apart.
So my guess would be, Jackie, that because that arm is or that leg is broken, it must be, as that motor spins, it must be causing vibration
or something. Yeah.
Like,
What do we think of this?
Where it hit, and you can see it flying forwards, and then it suddenly goes sideways, hits at the back, I think, and then drops and lands on that leg. So that hit the ground.
So the fact that it moved, Jackie, even in the wind,
well, I'm guessing
was it in a situation where you might have lost GPS for a second and it went.
Maybe it drifted.
It went to daddy mode for a second, right?
Maybe.
Yeah. Asking what we think of these.
Smart controllers.
We love them.
Yeah, there you go.
Absolutely love it. It is superb. It's quick as well, isn't it, Jackie? Like, get into a location and you're up and flying.
Does away with these, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's nice and bright.
Yeah, it does.
See, Barry in Spain says you're on 19 emails now trying to sort out his mini out with DJI. I mean,
oh wow,
Barry, just get a Skydio, because on a Skydio you can chuck them in the river and they bring you a new one. Have you had any problems at all with the Auto Evo then, Ross? Any sort of...
No. When the drone was released, I picked up the Evo 2,
right?
And look, like with all new drones, they usually have some firmware bugs when they're released. So just some minor issues, but it flies rock solid. I mean, the camera is outstanding on the Evo. It really is.
The other thing that people don't realize about the Evo is the Evo 2 has a high level of autonomous capability. It's got 360 obstacle avoidance and tracking. It'll track. I mean, it's at least as good or better than the Mavic 2 Pro in tracking, and I think it's even pretty close to the Skydio. I mean, it does very, very well.
Cool.
I think the Skydio takes first prize in the autonomous tracking.
Oh, without doubt, yeah.
But certainly, so I think the principal benefits of the Evo is, apart from the cameras and the long flight time, is also an interchangeable camera payload too. So you don't have to send it back to the manufacturer; you can do it yourself. It's only 4 screws.
Also, changing the camera, you mean, Ross? Well, changing the camera.
Yeah, change the gimbal camera.
Yeah, on the DJI, it's 6 screws. 1, 2, 6 screws on DJI Mavic. So to say that'd be the Mavic 2, either the Zoom or the Pro. 6 screws just that cover off.
DJI doesn't advertise it as such, but like you said,
they're interchangeable.
Right. I've talked to a lot of people that you can switch them back and forth. And they say it takes about 10 minutes. I talked to a guy who says in 10 minutes he can switch the cameras on that.
I would say less than 10 minutes. I'd say about 5 minutes.
Yeah, but Ross's point is that the Evo is advertised to do that and designed to do that. And there's potential that they could come up with a whole nother camera yet that Ross wouldn't have to go out and buy a new drone. He could just
swap the new camera on. Wow.
You see, I mean, to me, that seems a better idea, and I think DJI should take
upgrade little bits of it.
I think DJI should actually take a leaf out of that, because they keep bringing. I mean, now take the Mavic 2 Air. I mean, everyone says to me, the Mavic 2 Air, what a brilliant drone, and I have no doubts about it. However, explain to me why a camera is about £170 to replace on it. That's what I don't understand. Well, hang on. How come a camera is £170 to replace on it, yet one for a Zoom or a Pro 2 is a lot more, about twice the price? Don't the maths don't quite add up to me.
So certainly, if the likes of the Mavic 3 come out, which no doubt will have some benchmarks on it, no doubt a better camera, like a 4/3 camera or what have you. But the Autel manufacturer can simply redesign another camera gimbal and sell it as that single piece. And just throw it onto the new airframe. So I guess they're future-proofing one aircraft, if that makes sense.
That's very true. The thing that I think we'll likely see on the next version of the Mavic is maybe even interchangeable lenses too, which is it's kind of beyond what I would ever do with a drone, but I understand why people would want that.
Hot Rod in Daytona, let me ask this: how does DJI make money by building stuff they would never do an interchangeable because they don't build it and make nothing of it? Well, they don't build it, but they actually make a profit from it. So if they bought a camera, supplied the camera, if they paid £50 or £20 to actually make the camera, they'd sell it for £100. So they would actually make that. So they would benefit from it, and they'd probably sell. If you could come, if DJI said, "Look, there's a drone here. This is future-proof. We're going to have interchangeable cameras." I'll tell you what, there'll be a hell of a market for it. I'll guarantee it.
The other thing I liked on that Autel yesterday, Steve, yesterday on that mountain in the twilight, there was Ed and myself with the two Evos, and it was right at the very start of the blue light or twilight. And whilst you can see your red and green strobe lights, it's actually got a flashing strobe light underneath the aircraft. A bit like a flashing white strobe light. Couldn't miss it.
No, that's great. That's important because, like you said, in those kind of low light situations, that gives you that situational awareness.
Gary's saying the thermal camera is coming. DJI have done that.
well, now hold it. Evo, I saw the Evo 2 at the Consumer Electronics Show, and they demonstrated their thermal camera there, and it was phenomenal. The resolution that they had on that thing, and you can see how it would be really handy for search and rescue and fire departments, etc.
The other thing with the Autel is simply there's no geofencing, no fly zone, so it's very attractive for the commercial flyers.
Yeah.
And the point being this, that all the commercial people that I talk to, the people that do real estate videos, and they're not attempting to fly illegal. That's not the point of that. But the problem that they have is they go into a place, and we have in the United States a system called Lance, and you can get approval almost immediately if you're within that airport zone. They'll restrict you to a certain height or whatever, but you can get approval pretty quick. But then you have to go to DJI, and DJI, you have to send them an email, and they unlock that drone to fly within that zone. And what happens is they have problems with that sometimes. So if you're trying to do a commercial shoot, you've got approval from the FAA, but you can't get your drone unlocked to do that shoot, it would be so frustrating. And that's what makes the Evo 2 very attractive in those situations.
Yeah. I mean, when you're saying about making this call, Marcus, I mean, I've actually seen videos of this. People say, like, I'm flying this, I'm doing this, blah, blah, blah.
It's not a call anymore. It used to be, Steve. It's an app on your phone, and it literally takes.
So are you saying that anyone? But what I'm saying is, I mean, obviously, are we talk about 107 holders here, or are we talk about anyone?
Both. Hobby license. So I have to have a hobby license. I have a hobby license and a Part 107 holder. Either one, it's the same process that you go through. It's the Kitty Hawk app on your phone. It literally takes just a minute or two.
Okay.
and you get instant approval from the FAA as long as they know but they'll give you like an altitude limit, and you're limited to a certain radius, which is fine, right? Because if you're doing a shoot, trying to take a picture of a house or whatever, if you're a real estate photographer or a wedding photographer or something like that, you've got a certain area you want to fly in. So you can get that instantly, but the rub comes getting DJI to unlock the drone. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and those guys get really frustrated with that process. And again, that's why they'll carry around an Autel drone or a Parananafi or something like that as a backup so that they can get their footage that they need.
What about in Australia, Ross? I mean, have we got a sort of similar scenario there? I mean, or is it very? I mean, you're saying there's sort of, it's very sort of close to really sort of strict laws and what have you.
It's very similar to the UK and United States, where you do have your no-fly zones. You have apps that show you where you can and can't fly.
Yeah.
Even though the Evo doesn't have geofencing, you still have to comply with the regulatory rules.
Oh, of course, yeah. I mean, the thing is, I mean, the laws are brought in for a reason. I mean, it's the actual pilot of the drone. It's not the manufacturer. It's up to the manufacturer. So we'll make a drone that won't take off here and won't take off there. It's the person flying the drone who should be flying responsibly. I suppose that's simple as that, really.
Yeah, they're putting the onus on the pilot. Those manufacturers, rather than DJI putting in a
Gary. I was like, Gary is £9 a year. Gary registration. He's in 1,000% against it. But I mean, drone registration was going to happen. And I don't think it's going to go away. But just get another drone, Gary. Go on, bite the bullet. £9 a year. It won't ruin you. It won't break the bank. No, it's one of those things. I mean, they brought all these rules and regulations out and these registrations, etc., but I suppose it was inevitable, and I don't think it's going to go away. The government making money out of it, no doubt. But hey, there you go.
Yeah.
Do you have a similar thing, Ross? Do you have a lot of registration? Do you pay so much a year? Or?
There's no registration of the actual drone aircraft at the moment, but
you don't have to put it on label or anything on your drone, so the craft number. No, it's
not yet.
Yeah,
ID.
This is a toy drone, practically, an MJX, and I have to put my tail number on it.
Yeah.
Required.
Is that above 249 grams? Is it
this is that MJX Bugs 20.
Okay.
And it's it's probably twice that, I would think. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a principal thing. Well, that's it, Gary. I mean, I see a principal thing yesterday in the news about people protesting in London about not being able. They want more freedom. They don't want all these lockdowns and whatever. Well, COVID-19 rules. Yeah, good idea. Massacre. We're actually saying that you can actually do that in London. Apparently, you can only have 6 people in your house, but you can have 6,000 people in the streets rioting. Right. Okay. Well, I think we've come to the end of the evening. So, Ross, thanks ever so much for giving up half your sleep pattern.
Well, the sun's up now.
The sun's up now, so.
Yeah. But in summary, I was going to say, it doesn't matter whether it's an Autel, DJI, Unique, or Parrot. I mean, the key is just to get out there and enjoy your flying.
Indeed.
Enjoy everything.
Yeah.
Not one drone's better than the other. It's a case of get out there and enjoy the hobby or your profession.
Definitely.
That's, I guess, the 3 wise monkeys.
The 3 wise monkeys, yes. So, right, there we are.
That's it. Well, Michael, hands on your ears.
There we are. The 3 wise monkeys. And Ross, thanks ever so much, for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks very much.
And it was just for you, Gary, by the way. Not really, it's for all of us. Right, okay. So all I can say is we'll see you soon, and
good night.
So we get this bit right.
Thank you for joining us tonight on the Drone Seekers Sunday Show. It's good night from us until next time. Stay safe and fly safe.